just would like to welcome you for this new session of the Brexit Open House. Fourth session in the meantime. So it's becoming a monthly meeting. One more that we have with Claire and the team. So thanks again for you all to be joining. Thanks also for the question that have been shared with us. We'll make sure to address as many of them as possible. Again, my name hasn't changed since the last time. I'm still Lionel Van Riet. Maybe for the one that actually have followed up the previous one, you may have seen one change is that I look a bit more tired because we just welcomed our number 4 in the family. So I'm a proud father of a baby boy once more. So it's 2-2. So I'm very pleased. I don't sleep much, but it's okay. It's part of the job. Really thrilled to welcome you with Claire and also with the team, Ingrid and Agnieszka that made, as always, a tremendous work. So thanks for that. Every time we try to bring you a different angle, a different perspective in the Brexit Open House. We try to navigate away from the very static presentation of what is Brexit and what does that mean the TCA for you for like 2 hours. So we will be doing a status, yes, but for 10 minutes only. Then with Claire, we have the pleasure to welcome Jürgen Delbar from the company Allogic that will share with us a bit his insight on how painful or how joyful was the Brexit ride for him and for his company Allogic. Also quite interesting to know Allogic was also very much in the news, not only in Belgium for the acquisition that they did, but also because they are quite important in terms of the COVID situation we are into. So that's I think that actually with Claire we were really happy to be able to welcome them. So good. I see that voila. I see that Agnieszka is moving a bit the slides. So wait. Can you go back one slide? One again, Agnieszka. Keep it relaxed. Let's breathe. No, it's okay. Let's stay with the menu. So what do we have as a menu is the UK TCA update. That's what I'm going to do for 10 minutes. Then also the upcoming changes. 1st of April, quite some important changes if you're working in the agri-food sector. Then also Allogic insight on what Brexit avenue looks like when you have to deliver a Brexit project. So I think that it's quite interesting. And then your questions or answers to you. So with me today, as I said, real huge thanks to Ingrid and Agnieszka as always, because that would not be the same if you were not there to help to put that together. So thanks for that. We also have next slide maybe. Voila. We also have with us Mark Ussels, or ERP IT guru. So because we see that there are very often questions that relates to IT, so we want to be on top of things, and we have Mark with us. So voila. And of course, we have the pleasure to welcome Jürgen. Jürgen Delbar is EMEA Trade and Compliance Manager for Allogic. He's based in Belgium, Zaventem, but for the moment I think he's rather based working from home. But we will chat with him in a few minutes. So that's good. Alrighty. So without further ado, maybe we can go on with the status update on where we are. Again, purpose of this is not to give you a master course about the TCA. I think that actually a lot of things have been said and done on the TCA already, so I don't want to annoy you rephrasing what has been said before. But actually quite important to know. We are today on the 4th of March. So the Brexit is up and running for a bit more than 2 months now, with ups and downs, of course. But one thing is for sure, the UK has ratified the TCA agreement, but the EU hasn't for the moment. If you could recall it, it was planned for the 28th of February. It was set that the authorities in Europe should ratify it by the end of February. This has not taking place. This has not taken place. So technically, the EU has requested to the UK to agree that the ratification by EU could be prolonged, could be enlarged by 2 months. Which has been agreed recently by the UK. So the UK has said formally, yes, you can take 2 extra months in order to go to the nitty-gritty detail of the agreement. Why so much time for Europe? Remember, that needs to be done in 24 languages. So that's also one of the reasons why it takes a bit more time in order to align. So now the new date that has been set is the end of April. It's the 30th of April. So that's the date that has been agreed between the parties. So that's the time at which the TCA should be ratified by the EU. All right. So is that positive or negative? Well, actually, technically, it doesn't change to the operations, but what we can see is that there has been some tensions over the last couple of weeks regarding the vaccine, regarding export bans, including the UK, and then change of heart from the Commission saying, no, we cannot do that, we will have problems. So technically, you see that there are some tensions. So the longer we wait to ratify that, the more occasion we have on both sides to just have some comments on that TCA and try to amend a few things. So that's to keep that in mind. The TCA will stay as it is now, but it is not excluded that it will be adapted going forward. So that's really important to mention. Also, not unnoticed as well. You know that in the TCA there has been said, well, there was a joint committee before for the Brexit between the EU and the UK. Now there is an official EU-UK joint partnership council that has been set up in order to monitor the way the TCA is being used and not abused but used. Michael Gove has said recently that it would wait. Unless they are very pressing matters, it would wait to start the work of that joint partnership council up to the moment that the text will be ratified, which is somehow logical, but also that means that from a practical perspective, we are delaying overlay instances between the two parties. So that's a bit a pity in essence, even though it's understandable considering the fact that the EU needs more time. Right, so that's quite important. We can move on to the next one, Aga. So there, SPS measures at the UK border. That's something that definitely, if you are in the larger agri-food sector, well, as from the 1st of April, additional checks and documentation will have to be presented to the authorities, certainly when entering in a post-Brexit era the UK. So that's quite important. The requirements are listed there. Before anyone asks, the slides of course will be shared with you. That's just a brief heads up on what's going to happen on the 1st of April. But for the ones that are concerned, please do reach out to your customs broker. Have a look with them to how it can impact your activities, because of course there is a change of procedure between what was done before, or rather till the 1st of April, and what will have to be done afterwards. So that's really the increase of checks. If I may also mention that. I'm not going to say that there was a grace period for the beginning of the Brexit, but it's true that I think that the authorities on both sides have shown and where their willingness to show a lot of understanding for what the company were going through into the upscaling to Brexit. But of course, that understanding period, that grace period, at some point in time, I'm not going to say that it's going to come to an end, but authorities on Europe mainland and on the UK HMRC will start controlling more and more, controlling either when you come into the territory, that's one option, or also a posteriori. So they will start to control, they will try to question a bit the documentation that you put together. There also a difference between the UK and the EU. You know that in the UK there is that border management framework that has been put up, border operating model. That one foresee the possibility to lodge your customs declaration if your goods are not at risk and not controlled 6 months with a 6 month delay. Then of course, if you have chosen for that option, of course, that a posteriori check will not take place immediately, but please bear in mind that that will happen. So it's not only that you need to pass the border; it's also that that everything needs to that you need to be on top of your game because questions will be raised. All right. So that's I thought that it was important, and the date of 1st of April from time to time that's something that I hear in terms of starting a bit the a posteriori control. So yes, so we can move on to the next one, Aga. Also not. Well, not unnecessary to mark there also is the importance of ICS2. ICS2, again, I will not, it's not the place to give a masterclass on what is ICS2, but it's true that actually we're getting more and more serious in that game with the ICS2. So on the 15th of March, the pre-arrival safety and security system of the EU ICS2 will be initiated. So that's a new step into the implementation of the ICS2. It's a large-scale EU information system, but here the focus is really on express carriers, on European-based postal operators. That's a bit the focus at this stage. We thought because of the people of the attendance today that it might be interesting for first the people directly concerned to be mindful of that, but of course I guess that they already know everything about it. And for the other companies, the companies that are there, the operators that are there, also please know that this is coming and that actually the people that you are requesting the services from, the express carriers, they will be taking this seriously, and so technically it might be that the procedure might change. So stay tuned for that one. That is also quite important. And then I'll finish off before we welcome Jürgen. I'll finish off with some origin related matters. The UK GPS team, it's GSP actually. It's not GPS. GPS is the thing that we use in the car. Last time I could take my car leave home. It's rather the GSP. So it's a general system of preferences. So that's trading with developing countries. All major economies recognize that GSP scheme. So it's a general system of preferences that are preferences that we give to the developing countries. So that's really all the economies have that, the EU and so on. The UK getting out of the EU, well, it was an economy on its own before, but actually now they are signing parties on their own. So they had to recognize that. And also there, if you are a UK-based business, or if your companies do direct import for third countries, eligible countries from the GSP to the EU, please note that actually that as well would be applicable, of course, in the UK. So technically, don't forget that. I'm not saying that there is a tendency to forget this, but since historically you are used to deal with the EU and GSP countries, the fact that the UK get out of the other EU, they are signing up their own agreements now. They are signing up to the GSP scheme now. So technically, it's applicable also in the UK. So that's something I think that it's quite important. There also how to prove the origin. It's something that's well known. The REX has replaced the Form A for quite some time now. So that's the REX registration that there will be also applicable. All right. So thanks for this very short status. Now I'll welcome Jürgen. We put some slides together because that would be a bit easier for everybody to follow a bit everything that what Jürgen has to tell us. But maybe without further ado, it's my great pleasure to welcome Jürgen. Jürgen, I'll pass the mic to you, and then once while you're taking the time to go through the few slides and messages you wanted to share with the group here, I have some questions for you.
Okay, thank you, Leo.
All right, no problem.
So I'm Jürgen Delbar. I'm the Customs and Trade Compliance Manager for EMEA for Hologic. A little bit notice about Hologic. In fact, we are a global leader in women's health. We are located, so our we are US based, located in Marlborough. It's about 40 minutes from Boston. And we are offering cutting edge solutions that enhance and save lives. Our products, in fact, they encompass breast and skeletal health, diagnostics solutions, and GYN surgical solutions. In order to have an accurate detection and treatment of the patients. We are located in 33. We have 33 locations, in fact, in 15 countries, and we have more than 5,500 employees globally, which is increasing on a daily basis, as I will explain later on. So, in fact, we have three different things. We have a purpose, a passion, and a promise, in fact. So regarding that purpose, we need the trust from our customers and their patients. So our customers are hospitals, they are laboratoria. And the patients need to have a treatment. They need to have a detection first of all, and then afterwards a treatment to have the better health as a result. So we become, in fact, the global champions for women's health, and our promise is, in fact, the science of sure. What does it mean? It means we need, our promise towards the people, towards the patients, is that we need to have or need to work on an early detection, which give you a better health outcome. We done recent acquisitions. So in the last few months, we did 3 acquisitions. So one in San Diego, which is Bioterranastics, which is related to molecular diagnostic tests for breast and metastatic cancers. Then we have Somatex in Germany, which is related to the biopsy site markers. And then the last one, which you will heard in the news already this week, Diagnode in Liège, which is related to the molecular diagnostic assays. What I can say also is that as from the beginning of COVID, we were involved to produce the COVID test kits. We distributed around 86 plus million across 40 different countries. And due to that also, we have our own Labo machines. We have our own Panther machines, which are installed worldwide, and that's about 2,400 for the moment. And that figure is also increasing on a monthly and a yearly basis. So regarding then what I can say about what we are doing as a Customs and Trade Compliance Department on the next slide, there I can say that first of all, we are AEOC certified since June 2019 as Hologic BV, the Belgium entity. And my team is securing the day-to-day customs operations in an import and export customs compliance way for EMEA. So we are going to the best customs practice every day. We are also acting as the key subject matter expert, in fact, not only on local trade compliance, but also globally. And we need to secure the supply chain within our framework. On a daily basis, and that's something that we also discovered with going further into AEO. We have implemented a lot of policies, procedures, not only compliance in a compliance way, but also in a customs way for the whole EMEA region. And that is on a daily basis. We are still working on that. So there are changes. We are doing it. We are not stopping just by putting the policies in place. And no, it needs to have a follow-up also. That's why we also internally we are creating awareness, and we are training people and provide them the latest info, in fact, on how to handle the shipments, how to handle the goods. Also related to that, there's also the manufacturing and the commercial trade compliance activities with EMEA that we are supporting. So every and each department within our within Hologic is coming back to us and asking sometimes, what can we do? How can we handle it? So we are in fact the middle of the company where everybody is coming for an answer or for questions. When we are talking about Hologic in Europe and UK, also we had already a manufacturing site in Manchester, but due to COVID also there, we created several lines, in fact, for the COVID testing kits, so which we distribute also from there. We have in Europe about 6 warehouses. So we have a warehouse in Manchester, one in Milton Keynes, UK related, and then we have one in Ghent and at Bruggergo. And then we have still some local warehouses in Germany and Spain. We are importing from all the manufacturing sites, in fact, and from certain suppliers also, which are located in the US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Switzerland, and that is going in 2 separate lines now into Belgium and UK. Exporting from Belgium and UK to Europe, Africa, Middle East, and APAC. What we discovered also is we are a company that are producing medical devices. So we are involved in the MDR. We were involved due to the fact that we have connections with our UK entity. So we were involved in Brexit on a daily basis. And due to that, in fact, we changed our structure. So as for MDR, for example, your manufacturer or the importer or distributor of the medical devices can only be located in the EU. Due to the fact that we only had Hologic Hub UK, it became an issue. So we needed to change something, and we did a complete change of the structure. So it means that we changed from Hologic Hub UK to the Hologic Ireland Ltd entity. So, and that was, without the help of PwC, also on the AEO, on the MDR, and on Brexit, we would not be there for the moment. So thank you for that.
Leo, you're unmuted.
Okay.
You're muted, sorry.
Okay. Normally you always mute me, Ingrid, so I muted myself this time.
I apologize.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jürgen. What I was trying to say is that so technically for the people listening, what is interesting here is that what, if I understand that properly, and of course I know the situation I was involved, but in the you took advantage of the Brexit, let's say, and the fact that actually MDR was out there in order to take the two fly in one go to try to optimize your structure. So you took on board Brexit and you took on board MDR all together in order to get to a, let's say, to a better scenario for logic. So you had to do both at the same time, right? That's correct.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. Yeah. So a lot of changes in supply chain movements. In fact, the structural, the group changes, where finance, customs, goods flows, post Brexit have been changed in the meanwhile. Also, due to Brexit, and we needed to get the correct stock at the correct place. And also we needed to involve our shipping departments or manufacturing sites in outer Europe, outer UK, in order to get the goods in splitted lines, in fact, into the two different regions.
Wow. No, that actually, and thanks for having outlined what Logic is doing, how it is evolving, also the challenges you had. But talking about challenges, if we can start our discussion with the people listening and watching. A first one, just to get warmed up. An easy one for you, Jürgen. I've got difficult question afterwards, but actually the first one would be a bit rather like, what do you perceive as EMEA trade manager for Logic? What did you perceive personally as being the biggest challenge on that whole Brexit story for Logic?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, as I already mentioned, is it was the change of the structure, in fact. So where we needed, first of all, we needed to sit together with the different departments in order to get, like I said, correct stock at the correct place. The change in all the customs flows, all the finance flows, also the way the goods are coming in, so which are not always the same as the finance flow or as the customs flow. So also having the correct registrations prepared and ready, EORI, new VAT numbers, putting in place all the deferment accounts, in fact, in order to avoid also and our ET numbers, in fact, in order to avoid paying VAT upon entry. Setting up our ERP system in the correct way and in line with the flows. Update of master data where we needed Incoterms, we needed to adapt, in fact, in order to some shipments we are doing. So where it was a big challenge, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
and how much time did you took, just out of your mind, how much time did you took a bit in order to get that well, up and running, let's say?
in order to get that up and running, we were already proactive since the day that the UK mentioned that they would leave the EU. So, and then also due to COVID, it was a little bit put in the fridge for some months, but we discovered that after a few months we needed to start it up again in order to avoid delays, to avoid also miscommunication, in order to have the right people at the right place for having those actions, for making those actions possible. You're on mute, Leo.
Decidément, it's always, yeah. So something, if we move to something that's close to your heart, the relationship with the customs brokers, because you are in charge of all the movements, transport as well. So there, I mean, with the Brexit kicking in, we saw that a lot of customs broker had to reinvent themselves towards that relationship, and also the way they work with the client. So what is your experience with the work that has been done with the broker, and the fact that the broker were confronted with a new world?
Yep, we noticed, in fact, with on both sides of the border, so also UK and even Europe, that we noticed the same issues. In fact, a little bit less from EU to UK, where we are now working, in fact, with different brokers on road freight related, due to the fact that not everybody is offering the same. So we needed to go out of our how should I say it, out of the kind of bucket, in fact, which we had some brokers, but we needed to expand. We were first talking about rationalization of the brokers, but there we see, okay, you can rationalize it, but then you come to a point that you need to expand again, due to those circumstances. From UK to EU, there we had a lot of issues, and there are still a lot of issues due to the fact that some brokers are missing the knowledge and how to handle export and customs related shipments, in fact, because they were not, except for a DHL or a FedEx, or even the ones that are doing the ocean or the air freight shipments out of UK, they know what they are doing. But all the other ones, the little ones, which I'll say related to road freight, there we have issues, because they are sometimes expecting or asking more documents than are needed.
Yeah.
So that's
And also, Jürgen, in the press, there were also, I mean, those smaller brokerage companies, they were also mentioning that they were left in the dark by HMRC, saying, we don't have access to the new system, we don't have information, training. The local people, customs officer, are not trained, so they cannot give us direction. So I think that, like you said, it's a chain reaction, it's a snowball effect.
Yep.
And that has an impact on activities. So your experience was a bit a difficult experience in the ramp up, maybe with the road transport and
road transport. Yep.
with the smaller brokerage companies.
Yeah, indeed. And what we see also is that, for example, when shipping out of UK, even via DHL Express, that there are also still issues when shipping to, for example, the Italian side, to Italy, to Spain, to Canary Islands. A lot more documents are requested to be completed, due to the fact also that we are using our importer of record as the local company, the local entity in Italy, the local entity in Spain, So there we see certainly those two countries, we see issues. Issues, I would not say big issues, but due to the fact that UK is now third country, it's handled in a different way.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Just I see that time is passing on, and just if that's okay with you, I will handpick a few questions there.
Yep.
I guess that before you jump into such a big project, I think that actually you did an estimation about monetary impact. So if you could just say a bit what has been done there on the side of Alogic, and second, did you had to hire more people, or did you have to give other function to other people? So technically, how did you manage that? Did you hire more people due to Brexit, or not? And that's could be. And then I would have another question on COVID-19, and then I think that we can move to the question and answer, if that's okay for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So regarding the monetary impact, yes, we did an estimation. We did build business case in order to split the tasks between both sides, in fact, of the channel. So I mean our UK colleagues and ourselves. Just to inform you that my team is handling all the imports all over Europe. So it means that we are providing clearance instructions also to the different forwarders, so different brokers. So we needed to involve also the people, our colleagues in the UK, about that. So where we also gave some training. What we saw also that, in order to train those people, it's not only on custom side, but it's also on export regulations, due to the fact that we are also exporting out of UK to Europe. So it was a complete different world for them, which we needed, to have a good explanation, have a good training to them in order to cover everything. I did also hire a new headcount, in fact, in Belgium, in order to cover and manage those extra operations related to Brexit and future-wise MDR, naturally.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that we're getting the network, so that's you were just freezing. Thanks, Jürgen. Now maybe the last question before we move to the question and answers. The question from the people and our answers. Also there, COVID-19, we cannot miss it. And could you just let us know, is that still impacting your supply chain? You have been very active in the COVID-19 pandemic. So does that still impact your supply chain? And how do you see that it is merged with the Brexit reality, or is intertwined with the Brexit reality? Is that two different things, or is that unfortunately totally intertwined, and then you cannot get one out of the other, and you need to deal with both?
Yeah. So we had COVID had a big impact on our supply chain. Was it in a negative way? No, it was in the positive way. As we also started then the COVID production, the COVID test production in Manchester, in order to distribute to the EMEA market. So we were not only shipping out of San Diego to UK or to Belgium, but now we had also a second manufacturing site which could produce those COVID kits. We had some, before it was shipped directly out of UK. before Brexit. But then, yeah, we see, okay, Brexit is there. We need to do some changes also there. So, and it's not easy to transfer from one day on another all the COVID testing kits or a part of the COVID testing kits to the Belgian warehouse. So we saw there, yeah, not an issue, but we are still making sure that on a weekly basis we are transferring goods out of UK to Belgium, and even out of Belgium to UK, in order to get yeah, still stock availability on the right place. Is it negative? I would say no. It is still positive due to the fact that we can provide internally from UK to Belgium on a very fast way, in fact, also. So it will take less time than shipping it out of than having an urgent shipment out of US. Even with Brexit, and even with Brexit, so we have a weekly line haul, in fact, between the two warehouses, and even within the between the manufacturing site and the warehouse in UK.
All right. Thanks, Jürgen, and thanks for also taking the time and for preparing this. You have been put a bit on the grill, so thanks for that. It's great to have you, like 30 minutes for us, so that's really appreciated. I hope that you can still stick around. That actually Brexit and COVID will let you just rest a bit, so that you can stay with us. And of course, in the questions and answers that we take, if you want to intervene at some point in time, no problem.
Okay.
If people, I don't know, Ingrid, if people have asked questions to Jürgen, if some people wants to ask some questions to Jürgen, don't hesitate to use the chat box that comes right into the mailbox of Ingrid, and we'll put your questions up to deal with it. Without further ado, having me could be nice, having Jürgen is great, but giving the floor to Claire is even better. So we know that we have received some VAT questions, and you may say, oh, there's only 3 there, but I really think that actually we should make some work out of the VAT accounting work and the VAT accounting situation there, because we received a lot of questions in there. So we bundle everything in that one. And without further ado, as well, Claire, please enlighten us on the VAT side.
Okay, very much. So indeed, the top 3 of VAT: question 1, import VAT accounting, and then of course, all-time favorite, everything which has to do with Northern Ireland. First of all, can I still apply triangulation? And yeah, a brief overview on how the situation is now. So maybe we can move to the next slide then. So I can start with, in fact, the postponed import VAT accounting. So what is the postponed import VAT accounting? So you all know that as a result of the Brexit, UK is no longer part of the European Union. So intra-community supplies now become exportations and importations. So in fact, upon arrival of the goods, when you ship goods from the EU to the UK, upon arrival of the goods, you have an importation. And an importation, of course, gives rise to the payment of import duties, if any import duties are due, of course, and also the payment of import VAT. Now, as a general rule, you will need to pay that import VAT upon actual importation towards the UK customs authorities. However, the UK has introduced a so-called system of postponed import VAT accounting, which is open to all UK VAT registered businesses. So you do not need to be established in the UK. You only have to have a UK VAT registration. So any Belgian company or any other European company which is purely registered for VAT purposes in the UK, but does not have an establishment over there, can also use the postponed import VAT accounting system. Now, as a general rule, that is an optional system. However, it is mandatory in case you would use the delayed customs declarations. I will go through this slide and then I will give the word for a couple of minutes to Leo again, so he can further explain what the option entails of the delayed customs declarations. But in very short, it entails that the UK foresees in a period of grace of around 6 months, during which you will not be liable to actually already file your import declaration or draw up your import declaration. Well, to the extent that you would actually use that optional delayed customs declaration scheme, then you're obliged to use the postponed import VAT accounting system. Yeah? Businesses in Northern Ireland can use the scheme for imports from non-EU countries into Northern Ireland as well. Now, what is key? Because you will know that within the European Union, we have a lot of EU member states where we have similar systems. And by similar systems, I mean systems whereby you do not need to pay the import VAT due upon importation, but that you can in fact defer the payment of that import VAT through your VAT return. Here in Belgium, for example, you have the possibility to apply for an ET 14000 license, which is exactly the same thing. You're no longer going to pay the import VAT due upon importation, you're going to defer it to your VAT return. Well, the system in the UK is identical. The difference here is that you do not need to apply for an upfront authorization, like here in Belgium. However, the key here is that you will need to download your so-called online monthly statements. And these statements will be available by the 6th working day of the next month. Now, in order for you to enable you to access those online monthly statements, you will need a so-called government gateway user ID and password, which is linked to your UK EURA number. So in other words, although you do not need to apply for an authorization to apply the VAT postponed accounting, you will be liable to demand access to your online monthly statements, and you will only be able to do so to the extent that you have that government gateway user ID and your password, which is linked to your UK EURA number. You will then need to download those statements, and on the basis of those statements, you will be able to, in fact, declare the import VAT, which is due, and you can then deduct it at the same time. Because please remember that your import VAT due is calculated not purely on the price of the price which your supplier is charging you. No, the import VAT is to be paid on the price as charged by your supplier, but also on the import duties you potentially need to pay. There is an inclusion of transport costs, etc. So it's not that easy of just taking the invoice you received from your supplier and just calculating the UK VAT on it. So hence it is of the utmost importance that you work with those monthly statements. Furthermore, do note that those monthly statements will only be accessible for a period of 6 months. So it is crucial that you actually download these statements and that you archive them along with your VAT records. We also have Mark Hussel on the line. Mark, do you want to shed some light on how you can link the import VAT accounting with your ERP system?
I think we still see some issues, I would say, in practice that, of course, in the past you received invoices and you posted them as a reverse charge for VAT, acquisition VAT. But now I think we need to make that distinction between when you receive the invoice from your supplier that you may not post that for VAT in your accounting books. You need, of course, report it for your financial books as a debt against your supplier, because otherwise you cannot post it in your ERP system. You need to report the inventory and you need to report the financial debt to your supplier. So we advise their clients to make a separate tax code in order to make that distinction, because indeed from the statement that you will receive from the UK government, which is then the basis, or not only the basis, also the obligation to pay the import VAT and deduct the import VAT on which you need to post that document again only for VAT purposes, meaning that you do the reverse charge for VAT, the plus and the minus in your system. So therefore, we still see that, and hear also from practice, and I don't know if the audience also have that experience, that some logistics providers still keep on calculating VAT, although you could use this or should use this special system in place. So we see there a disconnect, and I think Leo can elaborate for hours on that, between logistics and finance, and that this is not connected. So there is still a recalculation that needs to be done. So I think it's clear for your logistics providers that they are informed that they may not calculate you with VAT, that you need to reject that invoice that they subject to you for that import, that you don't pay the VAT twice, because that's what we hear in practice. And secondly, what I want to emphasize here is maybe set up a separate tax code for this. You know that in the UK, the Make Tax Digital obligation also goes live as of at the second round of it, as of the 1st of April onwards. So you need to have that digital link in your ERP systems, meaning that this document that you can and should achieve, and which is only accessible for 6 months, is a vital document in your archiving process. So you need to make the digital link on that document and also do the reverse charge VAT posting based on that document. So I think it's something which is maybe a little bit not emphasized enough, the link with your logistics providers to make sure that they do not calculate import VAT. I think that's one link, and avoid that they charge you VAT which you may not be able to deduct. And secondly, you will have 2 documents to be reported, one for your invoice in your ERP system and another one in your VAT, to mandatory report the import VAT due and deductible in your system. And then thirdly, think about the link. If you're a registered company in the UK, you have the Make Tax Digital obligation going forward, which is a digital linking to make sure that you archive this document, because this is the one that will also give you the right to deduct input VAT, this document, this statement. So archive it a little bit longer. I hope that the 6 months foreseen by the UK government. So make sure your internal processes are aligned with this new obligation. Claire, Leo, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Leo, some further words on the potential, well, the option to file delayed customs declaration, because if you're going to use that, you have immediately the link to the postponed VAT accounting system. So maybe it's worthwhile shedding some light on that one.
No problem. And that's indeed important. So in the new system in the UK, when they have published their document that was like more than 300 pages on the new border operating model, I recommend that you read that if you want to sleep well. It's good to sleep at night. It helps a lot. But that's what is interesting, is that you have the possibility to apply for a delay into presenting your customs declaration. And what is that delay? It's a 6-month period. It's not applicable to all goods, so pay attention. It's not applicable to all goods. So before you are too happy with it, you need to first do an assessment regarding, okay, is my goods a controlled goods or not? If my goods, for instance, they don't have the union status, so they are not in free circulation in the EU. They are not in free circulation in the EU, and they are from third country. For instance, you have some goods from the US or Japan, not in free circulation, but in bounded warehouse, and then it coming to the UK. There, for instance, you cannot use that delay. So first, first elements there. You need first to assess, do I qualify or not? A huge majority of the goods will qualify. Huge majority of goods will potentially qualify. I don't know here in the people that are on that call whether someone is making use of that option. That could be interesting to know. But what does that entail, that option? Is that instead of issuing a customs document, lodging an official customs declaration every time you cross the border, the possibility is the following, is the fact that you can somehow keep a report within your company of all shipment that goes out in and out of the UK, mentioning that actually you can mention there some elements, some documents, some items that enables the authorities to see whether you're still on control of your goods, being, for instance, the value of the goods, the commodity codes of the goods, obviously also the origin of the goods, the date and entry. So it's a bit of track and trace type of document that replace, if you like, the official customs declaration, that enable you to access the UK market, to be able to start doing your stuff in the UK market, and 6 months after the fact, you will be asked to lodge a supplementary customs declaration, where you will take some elements of that track and trace report that you put up, and you will finalize and lodge that declaration. So technically, it's a delay that you get. It's if you apply it in January, then you delay it with 6 months. If you apply it in February, you delay it with 6 months. So it's really that 6 month period that moves along with it. So keep in mind the following. First, not all goods are covered or are eligible for that possibility, but you need to assess which are eligible for that. A vast majority are apparently, so please consider that option. Second, you need a track and trace internally in your companies in order to make sure that you really know what enters, what goes in, what goes out, so that you can demonstrate to the authorities that you have that in order, good under control, and that actually there is no issue there. So that's a bit what I want to say about it, and then of course you finalize the procedure by issuing a supplementary customs declaration. So that's that one.
Okay, thank you, Leo. So first question in respect of the postponed import VAT accounting is, of course, what do I need in order to substantiate the right of VAT deduction in respect of that import VAT? Is it sufficient that I have indeed that official statement of the authorities, or should I also retain the actual import declaration? To be 100% sure, well, there is not yet clear guidance in that respect. What is clear is that you certainly need to retain the monthly statement that is clearly mentioned on the website of HMRC. So once again, a plea to downloading it and to keeping it in your records to always substantiate your right of VAT deduction. To be on the safe side, I would certainly advise you to also retain a copy of your actual import declaration. And I think, Leo, not only from a VAT point of view, but also from a customs point of view, it's always better to keep a copy of your actual import declarations.
Yep.
Does that, however, mean that your right of VAT deduction will be jeopardized to the extent that you would not hold that import declaration? There, I have to admit that I'm not 100% sure, but my advice would certainly be keep both documents. So as well as your VAT, your monthly VAT accounting overview, as well as your actual import declaration. Okay. Good. The next slide, so that was in fact postponed VAT accounting. Then we also received a lot of questions regarding the triangulation scheme. So as you know, what is still a triangulation scheme. So here we have an example of a Belgian company who is supplying goods to Ireland. However, although the goods are transported directly from Belgium to Ireland, the invoice actually goes over an entity which is established in the United Kingdom. Yeah, so we have flow of goods and flow of invoices which are not identical. So under the normal rules, what happens here is that due to the fact that the Belgian company is in charge of the transportation, the first supply, so being the supply between the Belgian supplier and the UK entity, is a supply with transportation that will take place in Belgium, where the transport starts, but can only be exempt, of course, to the extent that the UK customer provides the Belgian entity with a valid EU VAT number. So to the extent that no valid EU VAT number can be applied, then can be provided, that would entail that the Belgian company would need to charge Belgian VAT. So in other words, in order to overcome this, the UK company should provide you with an Irish VAT number. Now, what is important in this respect, so the conclusion here is that the UK middleman will need to register for VAT purposes in Ireland, so the country where the goods physically will arrive. He will need to report an intra-community acquisition subsequently, followed by a local sale in Ireland. Now, let's now assume that we have the identical situation. So the goods are still shipped directly from Belgium to Ireland, so not Northern Ireland, Ireland. And the invoice is still issued by the Belgian company to the UK entity. But let's now assume that that UK entity has a Northern Irish VAT number. So the very specific XI number, yeah? That XI number is considered as a valid EU VAT number. So to the extent that that UK company would provide you with that XI number, you can still apply the simplified triangulation, yeah? And there will be no need for that UK company then to be registered for VAT purposes in Ireland. So this is something quite important. This was confirmed to us by Ireland. This was confirmed to us by the UK, because I see Ingrid nodding. When I first read this, I was not convinced, because, and to be 100% honest, I think that this is something which will change in the future, because to my opinion, this opens a lot of possibilities, whereby I don't think that that is, because this entails that every UK company which has such an XY VAT number can, of course, still be treated as an EU established company. Okay. So that was regarding the triangulation, whereby we have a UK company. And then last but not least, a short recap, once again, regarding Northern Ireland. So you will know that Northern Ireland is a very specific case. So from a customs and VAT perspective, it's part of the European Customs Union still, but of course, it's also part of the UK Customs Union, because it is, Northern Ireland is and remains part of the United Kingdom as well. So therefore we have the Northern Ireland Protocol that is applicable for goods which are located in Northern Ireland at the time of the sale, goods which are received in Northern Ireland from VAT registered EU businesses, so in a B2B supply situation, and goods which are sold or moved from Northern Ireland to an EU member state. The Northern Ireland Protocol does not cover any trade in services. So really important, to the extent that you're trading with a party within Northern Ireland, you can never rely on the Northern Ireland Protocol. So from a VAT point of view, Northern Ireland is outside the VAT union. Well, that's not the correct word, but when it comes to services. Yeah, so it's only when it comes to goods that you actually have this situation. So transaction between Northern Ireland and EU, those remain of goods, once again, those remain intra-community supplies. Pay attention, you should use then the XI VAT number. That prefix XI has now also been included on the VIS data database, so you can easily verify that. That is also included in the tool Mark and his team has developed, so Robovat, sorry. So that also takes into account the XY VAT numbers. And once again, so as we just saw in detail, you can apply the triangulation simplified scheme to the extent that you are using an XY VAT number. Transaction between Northern Ireland and GB, so in principle, domestic supply of goods from a VAT perspective, so UK VAT is to be charged, and then transaction between Northern Ireland and non-EU, those are export and import transactions, and you can make use of the postponed import VAT accounting system. So I'm just checking now the questions. So are there any import documents available online at the HMRC, since they are all seems to be electronic? Leo, maybe, do you know, are there any import documents available? Can we download UK import documents?
No, normally in the notice, of the HMRC, you have definitely specimen and template that are available, and definitely you have I don't remember the exact number of the notice, to be very honest, but you have a walkthrough like we do in the EU on the SAD of how to complete those import-export document, what do you need to put in which boxes and stuff and the like. And so you also have like an overview of the documentation. Pay attention the way the look and feel of those documents, whether you, of course, you need to use the electronic version, but when you want to use with the paper version, from time to time the layout can be a bit different. So if you have you have your habits your habits with some paper document, do not be stressed when you work with the electronic version, and the electronic is the rule. Electronic version, they might be a bit different, but the good thing is that they are the same boxes. It's the same boxes. So there, yeah, it's also possible. Maybe we could bundle that, Claire, to the slides we will send to the people that have participated to today's session, with like an hyperlink for the people for that notice. I think that it's interesting, but pay attention. It's always lengthy document, huh? So that's
Yeah.
but okay. I mean, it's interesting.
Okay, and just one final note I wanted to add is that, okay, we have the specific qualification of Northern Ireland in the entire Brexit story. We have received a lot of questions regarding routing goods through Northern Ireland to avoid, of course, UK tariffs or UK import declarations or import procedures. And yeah, I would like to emphasize once more that it goes without saying that you cannot move goods from Europe to Northern Ireland purely of avoiding any payment of UK import duties or any UK import procedures. So that is repeated again and again and again by the HMRC, so by the UK authorities. And I don't know, I have not yet seen any specific audits in this respect, Leo, but I am quite convinced that it will not take long before we will actually see the first claims coming in from HMRC in that respect, because they are convinced that, or they opine that they can prove that the goods have been routed through Northern Ireland just to avoid UK import tariffs or UK import procedures. So please pay attention in that respect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe on the documents, I mentioned to to everybody that actually there was a notice on the HMRC. I think that the question, and yes, you are the question for the completed ones. Maybe that's something that with Claire we can take offline to you to go through that, if that's okay for you. I don't have the possibility here in my WebEx option to directly send the chat to you, so because it's all directed to Ingrid. But so if that's okay for you, Jos, we'll take it offline and we'll get back to you on that one with the completed ones.
Okay.
So
And a big thank you already from Jos, I see.
that's the new world. Someone is speaking and someone else is answering by a keyboard.
Yeah.
I have the feeling that I'm talking to my kids, you know.
So unless there are any specific VAT questions, I think I can hand over the word to Leo now to treat the customs questions we received in this respect.
All right, good. Feel free to jump in with other questions if you have, or something that pops up your mind. I'll go. I see there that we will be talking about documentation. We will be talking about bilateral cumulation. Good. We will be talking about customs duties. What else? Goods travel to Ireland. Okay, imposition of duties. That's an interesting one. The Incoterms, very important. Plans to UK to join the PEM. Okay, good. So six questions. Feel free. Be inspired, and off we go. I'll take them one by one. I'll start with the first one. So, what are the documents to be used to prove preferential origin of goods, and when to use the current EU LTSD? So that's good. Honest, I don't remember who asked the question. It's a very good question. The answer can be a bit lengthy. The answer can be a bit lengthy. So what I suggest is that I'll take the headlines of it, and when we send you the input, we make all the references to the document, that what you put there, Annex 2216. I mean, I can talk about some others as well. So that's for you, so that you have a complete answer. But technically, what is there? What are the documents to be used to prove the preferential origin of goods? So I will focus on preferential origin of goods. In our completed answer, we went to a non-preferential origin as well, so that you get both. But technically, well, what is there? What is out there? To the documents we use to prove the preferential origin. First, you need to mention that you have the right for the preferential origin. In order to mention to an authority, the UK, for instance, that actually you have the right to apply either a reduced rate, but in this case a zero tariff, you need to either present a REX registration number, or you can use the important knowledge. Okay, that's the headlines. That's what you need to use. But that doesn't help you, because your question goes further than that. It's actually what are the documents to be used in order to prove the preferential origin. So first, you need to declare that preferential origin. That's the first one. Second, in order to declare that preferential origin, as I said, REX and stuff of the like, and important knowledge is important. But also the statement of origin needs to be put either on an invoice or on another commercial document. There, on the TCA, in the annex, you have, based on the language that needs to be used, you have the right phrase to be used. So that's another step forward, is first the REX, then the statement of origin. Then you need the supporting document. What type of supporting document can be used? You mentioned very correctly also the use of current long-term supplier declaration. Yes, of course, they can and they have to be used. And there you have in the annex the different types that you can use, whether preferential or non-preferential. But you need to use them, but you need to use them as a support to demonstrate that you qualify for preferential origin. What do I mean by that? I saw some companies waving around with a long-term supplier declaration saying, yeah, I received that, so technically all my goods need to be zero rated when they enter the UK. No, because that's a supporting document, long-term supplier declaration. It enables the companies to facilitate the origin determination. It is not your proof of origin that is acceptable by the HMRC as being saying, oh, therefore the goods are zero rated. So technically it's a mean to, it's not the absolute proof in order to gather that. So yes, you need to do that. Pay attention that if you use long-term supplier declaration, be very precise in your analysis of that, because we are currently confronted with companies that have initiated a long-term supplier declaration campaign. Very well, it depends on the companies, but a lot of companies start that in January. And now what they seeing is that some of their supplier that for years and years and years have put those long-term supplier declaration, they also have a manufacturing plant in the UK. But before, it was not a problem because, I mean, UK was part of EU. Now UK is considered to be a third country. So you need to adapt also your campaign, highlighting that the UK is no longer part of the EU, but outside the UK. And your supplier might be annoyed by that, because the same good could be also produced in that very manufacturing plant. So you need to get that lined up, because otherwise you will you may lose or it may fragilize your situation in terms of origin. So that's what we need to say. First, how to prove how to highlight that you are eligible for the origin is the REX important knowledge and so on. Then the statement of origin that needs to be done. Then all the supporting proof. One that is requested here in the question is the long-term supplier declaration. Yes, of course, they are there. The template are also present. They can be used for preferential and non-preferential origin. They are not the same. You have a non-preferential, for instance, it's 2818, like it was said here, 2818. That's non-preferential. 16 is the preferential origin. So that's the one. All right. So maybe important record keeping. Please don't forget, keep those documents proving the origin for a period that is sufficiently long. What says the law? 3 years. Okay, fine. But actually, if you are exporter with a statement on origin, so it means that actually on invoice and stuff of the like, it's origin article 22 of the TCA. There you can go to 4 years. So you have to go to 4 years. So that's what you need to keep in mind. So technically, make sure that you don't get rid of them too fast, because otherwise you could be in trouble. Right? So
Leo, I have a very small question in that respect. So let's assume that you have your REX registration, you're using it, you're keeping your supporting documents, then you have an audit, and it turns out that in fact your supporting documents are not okay, and that in fact you were not entitled to claim the origin, which you did.
Yeah.
So I assume, of course, import duties will be levied, etc., maybe some fines. But does that automatically jeopardizes my REX registration as a whole, or?
But no, I don't think so.
Okay.
If you were under the old system that I preferred, the approved exporter license, which is a license, you have an audit, you have this and that. That could somehow impair your license, even though, I mean, everybody does mistake, and the difficulties with the origin is that even though you are very precise in what you do, you cannot get out of the fact that some suppliers are still saying yes, it's for preferential origin, no problem, while they are not telling the truth because they just don't know or they don't understand. So technically, the problem is still there. So do you lose your REX? No, I don't think so. But what could be true is that indeed it could put a focus on your company, as you said, VAT, of course, import duties. Do I get a fine there? That will be depending on how good you are in demonstrating your good faith. You could navigate from an administrative fine that is normally around 125 euros to 1,000 euro to X number of times the duties that have been undue, that have been avoided. But if you are of good faith, then actually, of course, you limit the impact of that fine. How to demonstrate good faith in origin? Very difficult. What we recommend and what we implement with companies when we work with them is that when you are asking you're doing your LTSD campaign and stuff of the like, what we add the rule to what the goods needs to comply with. So technically, we say to the supplier, so you are confirming that your goods are meeting the origin criteria according to that free trade agreement for that commodity code, and that's the rule. So you are telling me that it is correct. And when they send you that document, the document is the template is correct, the sentences are correct, the way you use the wording is correct, and they confirm you in writing that yes, they meet that. If they can add some proof that support that, that's even better. That's the way you create your good faith type of scenario. So that's what I want to say that, and that's a way. It's an investment, but that's a way to avoid being either on the blacklist of the authority or getting too much fines.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So is it possible that the EU will renegotiate bilateral accumulation to make it diagonal? Yeah, well, I hope. I hope. I don't know how I need to answer that one. Well, technically, if you want, one thing is for sure: if you want to have that, you need a renegotiation. It has to be foreseen in the TCA. It is not for the moment. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about that crazy situation where you have, and there are a lot of crazy situations, but the first situation we can highlight is Swiss goods going to Europe, Europe goods, and then going to the UK. Swiss to Europe. If you have the supporting documentation, you can get a preferential origin. Preferential origin, 0 rated, fine. But once those goods that are from Swiss origin goes to the UK, even if the UK has a free trade agreement with Switzerland, since the goods were in free circulation in the EU and you use your preference, when you go to the UK, it doesn't work. You have to pay duties, and that's what we're talking about here. And as I say, is this foreseen to get diagonal accumulation into the TCA directly? I'm not excluding that it will come, but if you saw how much time it took to get to that point of the Brexit with the TCA, and it's still a lot to be said about the TCA, to get a diagonal accumulation in there with Switzerland, with Japan, with other countries, I'm not excluding this, but that will take a lot of time. So would that be other type of mechanism? Type of a duty drawback and so on and so forth. Duty drawback is in there, but how can we use it to the best of our abilities? It means duty drawback in the way it is in the TCA. It means transformation of goods. If you do buy sell in Europe and you send it over to UK, you are not transforming. So technically, you will not qualify, and you will be there with your import duties. So that's really where you need to be on top of your game and to estimate what is the impact on my supply chain in terms of duties, and how can I push that away from me, or I can suspend that by using transit, using bonded warehousing or any other of the like, or some things that are a bit more technical with the bonded warehouse with IPR and so, which is equivalent goods. But okay, that's a bit too far. But that would be what I would say about that. So it is possible. I don't see that happening directly to renegotiation, but I think that there will be some elements that will be negotiated along the way. So I think that we need to keep an eye on that one. All right. And so for the people that are following also the podcast initiated by Claire, it's true that we did the first podcast with Claire around 15 minutes on origin, where we took the general questions. We will have another foreseen with more technical aspects on the origin, with drawback, with really a focus on the most complex items there. Also 15 minutes. So that will be stay tuned. That will be coming up as well, and it's Claire who is sharing this. All right. So we have been charged 12% customs duties on importing UK origin goods into Spain, export taking place completely within January. Okay, so post-Brexit. Do you know why this might have been charged? Generally, two reasons. One, 12% customs duties on importing UK origin goods. Are you sure that they are originating from the UK? 12% very often resonates to me as being textile product. I don't know whether that's the case. That might not be the case, but it might be because actually, even though the goods were coming from the UK, either the origin, preferential origin status of the UK goods could not be presented to the Spanish authorities. So no use of a EORI number on your invoice in order to justify the preferential origin from a UK goods to Europe. That might be one of the case. Second case, so the goods are not from UK origin. They are coming from the UK, but are not from a UK origin. Second, you document. You did not claim that UK preferential treatment because on your document it was not there. You put it on your invoice, but your broker or yourself didn't put it on your customs declaration, which is also possible. So technically you have all the paperwork done, but oh shit, we forgot to put the preference in the box 36 of your import declaration. That's also a possibility. Depending on where you are on this, or it's just a mistake, that could be also the case, or it's just a mistake. If you are falling into the first category, which is the goods were from Chinese origin, but they are coming from the UK, then you cannot reclaim the 12%. You need to support it, swallow it. That's not possible to get them back. But if you have a mistake on your customs declaration, well, you have the right to present an invoice with the UK EORI number on it and the preferential origin, but you did not did that, there is a glitch somewhere in the IT, then I would, depending on the amount, of course, I would really recommend you to go get close to your to the Spanish customs to see to what extent you can get a refund of the duties paid. So therefore, for that person, that's what I would recommend. For all the people that are still with us on the phone, I think that actually, if you see that you are paying duties, try to understand why you are paying duties. It might be so that actually because it's non-originating goods, there you cannot do anything. But if there is other reasons, have a look at that, because you could claim back the duties paid, and that could be interesting. All right. So okay, goods are imported to the EU, Belgium. Okay, to Belgium and travel to Ireland through the UK. Any ways to avoid imposition of duties on the UK and Irish border? Yeah, good question. It's a very good one. If I can link that, I think that there was also. But that was a quite general question from someone saying returning goods, but not really a question, but just someone that wants to talk about returning goods. Okay, what I may want to suggest is that on returning goods, that's so important, and now we're getting more and more experience with that, and also working with the authorities across Europe. Maybe Claire, what we could do is to have a look at for the next one, have a session dedicated to the VAT treatment and the customs treatment of returning goods, when we can do something, because there are situations in which we cannot do anything, and it's returning goods mean, okay, the goods will return, but you will have to pay and account for the duties. But what's interesting is to see with Claire from a customs and VAT perspective, okay, what would be scenarios, what could be done there. And I think that it could be useful for the people to see that, because whether you are impacted directly by Brexit or from time to time by Brexit, returning goods, it's very high on the agenda. It's very, very high on the agenda. And they are also within the EU customs authorities, and I'm not sure, I don't know whether customs authorities are present today, but if normally they are. So I know that there are some differences in interpretation if you are Belgian authorities, French authorities, Dutch authorities, Irish authorities regarding returning goods. Because the EU is very strict in returning goods. They say that if the buyer and the seller is not the same guys, so if you export out of Belgium, okay, the goods are in the UK and then they return in Ireland, but to a different party than the one that is sent, that could jeopardize your right to benefit from returning goods. That's the position of the EU now. Not all EU member states are doing this in the same way, but pay attention. You could be confronted with different ways of looking at that in the EU because the authorities are not aligned there. The EU Commission is quite strict, so that you know. On that very question, and sorry for the digression on returning goods, but I think that it's important. On that question, again, you need preparation. I think that we heard Jürgen, he was proactive on certain numbers of flows. They took a deep look into their flows. So technically, yes, you need to do that. There are ways to do that. You can use transit. You can use bonded warehousing. You can use other type of authorization, depending on the type of goods. Depending on the type of goods, there are some ways to accommodate your supply chain. But it's true that the most common ones that are out there and being used by people is definitely bonded warehouse, are definitely also transit. These are the ones that needs to be put forward because these are the ones that gives a very good result. All right, so keep them in mind. But more than just trying to use a magic trick, anticipate. Have a deep look. What is happening with my goods? Where do I need to pay the duties? What do I need to document to postpone that, to suspend that, or to exempt that? That's really, I think that the key of, well, being efficient from a cash perspective here is really the proactivity and the anticipation. That's the best way. If you are only reacting, there you will be you will be facing duties and cash impact. So that's what we can say about that. The effect of DAP Incoterm on the EU UK customer, the import VAT. How can I solve this? Well, okay. I'll start with a part of the answer. And Claire, if you want to take the import VAT incurred, okay. How do you tackle that? I think that the person mentioned EU UK customers, so maybe that person wants to see the two ways: what's happening in the EU if I import, what is happening in the UK if I import. So I'll give it a go with the Incoterms. What we see here in the DAP Incoterms, that means that your price that is negotiated is a DAP price. The price that is requested from a transaction value price from the customs authorities is a SIF price. First elements there, have a look. Is within your the way you negotiate that, is that a huge difference between your DAP price and potentially a SIF price? Because what you need to mention as a customs value price, as a transaction value price, is a SIF price. First comment there. Have a look at your DAP price. Is there a huge difference? Yes, no. One. Second, it's truly fundamentally important to understand who is the importer of record. Because if the importer of record is your entity, but with the UK VAT number, for instance, if you do Europe UK, it's a sale that it's okay. It's under the terms DAP, but it stays within your company. Is that really a sale? Is that really a sale? Yes or no? Are there not possibilities in order to use a customs value that is a bit more correct in terms of being more efficient in terms of cash flow on your account? That's also something that you need to consider. We see a lot of companies looking at the customs value impact now that there are duties associated with that. If duties are associated with that, it means that you are using third party goods, so they are not produced in the EU or in the UK, or they are not eligible for preferential origin. All the duties have already been paid and the goods are passing from one country to the other. So you need to optimize your valuation there. So DAP price towards a SIF price. Who is the importer of record? Am I paying my fair share of taxes? Am I not overpaying that? Because very often that's what we see. The way the customs value is being prepared, calculated, determined is not correct. Too many costs in there, too many unnecessary overhead in there that has nothing to do with your goods. So technically, please have a look at that. Your price, knowing the exact price, is really a cornerstone of an efficient import in the UK. but equally important in the EU. And we have with Claire a lot of questions. I think that's the thing we did the most over the last couple of months regarding the Brexit is the optimization of the customs value because that is so important. You have no idea. So technically, yes, that would be my answer. DAP CIF. Have a look at what is in there in your price and who's the importer of record. I think that there, from a customs perspective, you do that, then I think that you are not only compliant, but you are efficient from a cash perspective. Maybe Claire on the import VAT, what are the people, what can the people do? Ah, you're muted, Claire. Claire?
Okay, sorry. To be honest, yeah, you can't do anything about it. Somebody will have to pay that import VAT. And of course, an Incoterm is an indication on who will act as importer of record. So if everything goes right and you apply all the correct aspects of your Incoterm DAP, that in principle entails that your buyer will be responsible for the import declaration and that he will be liable to pay the import duties and potential import VAT. Now, so let's assume you're a Belgian company, you're supplying to the UK, you supply DAP somewhere in the UK, it will be your UK customer who will perform the importation of the goods. And indeed, he will be liable to pay that import VAT. And can you do anything to solve this? No. If your customer is going to perform the importation, he will be liable to pay that import VAT. Very important to mention, of course, is that contrary to those import duties, which are a cost, that import VAT is 100% deductible for your customer to the extent that your customer is, of course, a taxable person who's using those goods for its business purposes. To the extent that your customer is a private individual, yeah, no, sorry, then that import VAT will be a cost. But that's exactly the same as a UK private individual going into a local UK store, buying something, he will also need to pay VAT on that purchase. So there is nothing, you cannot avoid that import VAT, full stop. It will have to be paid. If your customer is a business, of course, he can apply the postponed VAT accounting system, by which there is also no pre-financing, so he can pay and he can deduct it at the same time. If you want to avoid that your customer is actually liable for that import VAT, you as a supplier can, of course, choose to perform that importation yourself into the UK. And potentially worthwhile changing your Incoterm into a DDP one, so delivery duty paid, whereby you as a supplier will in fact act as importer of record. You will then need to pay that potential import duties, if any are due, and then you will also need to pay that import VAT. But also there, you as a supplier, you will be able to reclaim that VAT, either at a later stage or immediately if you would use the VAT postponed accounting system. But pay attention then, because if you as a supplier will act as importer of record, then the situation does not end here. The subsequent step is that you then still need to tax the actual sale of those goods locally in the UK to your UK customer, for which you will be liable to issue an invoice with UK VAT. So at the end, it will always be the customer who will need to pay the VAT. And whether or not he can recover that VAT, that will depend on which stage within the chain we are, because every final consumption of a product will ultimately be subject to VAT without the right of VAT deduction. But until we reach, in fact, the ultimate stage of consumption, the VAT is deductible. Okay? So that's my view on avoiding import VAT.
That's good. we could do a session on how to avoid duties and VAT. We would be famous before we go to jail. No, no joking. Questions. Are there any plans for the UK to join the Pan-Europe Mediterranean Convention, the PEM? Well, not that I'm aware of. I know that question comes a lot. There was some interesting post on LinkedIn, not entirely always correct, but okay, for textile, that are impacted by the fact that the UK is not member of the PEM. So for what I know, it's not foreseen for the moment. It's not foreseen for the moment to have that included. The UK is rather working on joining, and maybe for the companies following us today, maybe it's interesting. They are rather focusing on getting in line with the CPTPP. CPTPP, yeah, I've got that one right. It's it's a Trans-Pacific Partnership. So that's where, and that Trans-Pacific Partnership is a grouping of countries, quite interesting. So there, if you're doing business in the UK, and the UK is doing business outside Europe, of course, directly with other countries, have a look at that one. It was in the news over Australia, but definitely the CPTPP is the members there is Australia, is Canada, is Chile, you have Malaysia, Mexico there, you have New Zealand, of course, you have Australia, you have New Zealand, you have Singapore, Vietnam, Peru, and actually that's where the UK wants to be part of. So that's really interesting for the UK. It's interesting for the companies, but of course it's not the same as the PEM. PEM, no plans for the moment, but if you have import and export in the UK out of third countries, stay tuned and look at the CTPPP. It's really interesting. The countries that I mentioned there. I mean, there are quite some interesting economy, also quite manufacturing countries. Mexico is in there, Vietnam is in there. You have Japan, you have Canada. So that's interesting. So that's what I could say about it. I would say for the moment. Yeah. So that was the ones we received. If there are some that actually we missed because we did a lousy job with gathering all the questions. Apologies for that. As I said,
I just saw one last one, maybe, Leo. So whereby if we have delivery conditions DDP and import should of course have been done in our name. And we of course charge UK VAT to the customer. However, that company says that although they gave clear instructions to their customs broker in the UK that the importation should be done on their name, that in fact the import has been done and the import declaration has been drafted on the name of the ultimate customer. So he will be mentioned as importer of record, but on top of it, of course, the Belgian company issued an invoice with UK VAT. And then the question raises, yeah, what should we do something and what can we do? Now, I would certainly advise to review this in detail, because the risk I see here is that the HMRC published already, I think it was already end 2019, beginning 2020, a new paper or a new instruction whereby they clearly stated, well, look, within the UK, only the legal owner of a good can deduct any import VAT. So to the extent that you're not the legal owner upon the moment of importation, please make sure that you are not mentioned as importer of record, because you will automatically lose any right of VAT deduction in this risk. So my fear is if you are in such a situation whereby at the time the goods arrive in the UK, you're still the owner of the goods because you subsequently still issued an invoice with application of UK VAT. Mm-hmm. However, the import declaration in itself mentions already your customer as importer of record. Then my fear is that the HMRC can reject the entire right of deduction of import VAT in the hands of your customer. So I would certainly advise to review that in detail and to come to a practical solution, whether or not the underlying import declarations all have to be corrected or not. That is then to be further seen and to be discussed. Maybe, I don't know, Leo, whether you already have some practical experience.
Totally agree with you on your analysis from the VAT side. Of course, from a customs side, I think that actually it could be interesting for you, for the person that asked the question, to have a look at the import doc in the UK if you have received it, because then well, I would have a look at the DDP side. I would look at the DDP side, because do make sure that the right customs value has been mentioned, because what we saw already is that we have from time to time the companies are struggling because they're paying duties on a DDP sale. So technically you have a DDP sale which includes all the taxes, and in the box where you say, well, what is my customs value, there we see the DDP price. And what is happening very often, and it may sound silly to you, but it's happening. The companies are mentioning DDP price into the box 47, where you need to mention the taxes, and you will be paying duties on top of your DDP price. So technically, you will pay twice the customs duties, and on a two important customs value. So it would be important there. Also, I would recommend also to have a look at what is the value that has been used in order to declare the goods for importation in the UK, because if that's happening already, and with the potential impact on VAT, the impact on customs would be that the taxable basis would have been overrated. It would be too high. So that could be interesting. Yeah. All right. Maybe, if that's okay, maybe for the people, because a lot of people have asked us, yeah, but it's good you have done a lot of things before Brexit, but what can we do after Brexit? And a lot of people are confronted with problems or questions or issues that they have now. They're discovering that one thing leads to another. The very good question that was asked on DDP, you see to what it could bring you. It could bring you to having an authority that says, no, I don't recognize this, and actually the VAT. The VAT refund could be put in jeopardy. We need to avoid that. People have problems with their IT. People have problems to prepare all their origin statements and the proof of origin. So that's a lot of people have asked us, yeah, but what do you do there? And actually, what I think companies should be doing, and that's where we come in with the aftermath of Brexit. What could be interesting is that for your company to perform a bit a stress test. And what is that? Put yourself in front of a mirror, saying, okay, now we are 2 months down the road with Brexit. How do we do it? We know that we have a bit of trouble. Jurgen mentioned there were troubles with the brokers. There are troubles with HMRC. There are difficulties. There are uncertainties. But nonetheless, it is still your money. It's still your operations. It is still your name and your liability. And with Claire, what we have been involved in is rather a type of stress test type of thing, where we put the company in front of the mirror, saying, okay, how good are we? How bad are we? What do we need to do? And in order to do that, well, you don't need to think that it lasts like days and days and days. It's rather having a deep dive into what you have done, what you have seen already, a bit the experience that we have working with all the companies that have got trouble, so we know where to push in order to where the pain points are, and that's what we mean here. And if we can go to the next slide, I think that also why we're saying that and why we're seeing all these issues is that because a lot of people are reacting with the Brexit in this post-Brexit moment. They react in the way they were using that before. And what I mean by that is that it's a history-based approach. It means that people are saying, yeah, they could not anticipate the problem because the Brexit new environment is totally new. But the recipe in order to make it right are recipe from before Brexit. So there is no way you can anticipate that and you can be efficient 100%, because you are a bit too late, and that's normal because it's a new normal. And what we say here, we need to evolve from a history-based approach to say, oh la la, that's what's happening, to a proactive approach. And I think that Jürgen has said that in his approach towards Brexit. But after Brexit, you need to be proactive as well. Put yourself in front of the mirror. Claire has said that. She's right. Control will come. That's for sure. I can guarantee you when, where, and how difficult that I still don't know it, even though I think that the first one will start somewhere April. But actually don't wait and don't try to solve this with your history around that, because nothing prepares you to the new normal of the Brexit. It's totally normal. So it's totally new. So you need to evolve to a proactive approach. And how do you do that? Put yourself in front of the mirror and see what's come out of it. And I think that on a very simple way, these are things that actually you could do. And that's where I think that it makes sense to be present. Also by preparing this, and Ingrid would be mad at me if I forget this. By preparing this session, we received from one person a question on IP that somehow goes intellectual property, that goes a bit more into our direct tax colleagues. For that person, for instance, we will send our answer to a question directly to that person, so she will be helped. But what I mean by that is that we have also our colleagues of people and organization, P&O, mobility. I mean, those questions are really high on the agenda as well. And it's not only VAT and customs that for the reason why you need to get in front of the mirror, but also for all the others, all the new game changes of the Brexit. And I think that if you do that in a clever way, in what we say in French, en petit comité, but with people that have knowledge of what's happening on the Brexit, I think that there in a few hours you could have a good view on where you are and what are your pain points and what you should be doing as a priority. And I think that could be a good idea to consider, rather than just initiating very long process and stuff of the like. Having a stress test to know where you are looks to me the first step in the right direction, I would say. So that was what I wanted to say. I don't know, Claire, do you want to have a final comment to close the session, or Mark, or maybe Jürgen, whomever?
No, I think I would like to thank everybody again for a valuable contribution to this session, of course. Certainly Jürgen, who was brand new to our team, because Leo and I were getting used to it. And before handing over the word to Jürgen, I just want to say, keep following us. So we update our website on a very regular basis. On our website, you can find the documents of which we found that are quite important. So those are the documents published by the Commission. You find links to HMRC. You can also find links to our dedicated Brexit podcast. So almost on a weekly basis, we launch a new podcast, which can also be found, of course, on Spotify. So please tune into these ones as well. You may also have already seen that our direct tax colleagues have what they call the podcast, the Tax Bite.